Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Zahir Zaidan bin Zubaidi and I am from TPA5 and my metric number is 1171592. So today I would like to present my research proposal with the title Turas Study in Higher Learning Institution, Problems and Suggestions. Firstly, background of research. Turas is such an Islamic heritage which have been inherited from the Islamic scholars in the golden era of Islam for us, the millennial generation. And it also contains the richness of intellectual treasury of Islamic knowledge. H. Dahri 2017 in his research stated the importance of Turas. Shahran Kasim 2013 and Harapandi Dahri 2020 suggested the role of Turas, which is foundation of the Ummah and also as a local genuine to humanizing changes. In Malaysia, Turas study has faced a lot of evolvement where it started from the pondok system and suggested in many studies such as Nur Shahada Muhammad 2017, Muhammad Hushairi 2019, and also Rosnani Hashim 1996. Then, from the pondok system, Turas study evolved to the electronic media such as suggested by Salahuddin Ismail 2014. And finally, the Turas study has been introduced to the curriculum in higher learning institution. However, Turas study require a specific skills and techniques to understand as suggested by Mestra Wirman Alidin 2013 and also suggested by Rabiah 2019. This situation leads to the ineffectiveness of Turas study in higher learning institution since some students may face difficulties to be competent with the skills and also the techniques required. Sheikh Salim 2018 also performed a study on 100 students to see the level of effectiveness of Turas study in Islamic Science University of Malaysia. The results found that 69% of the respondents can understand the lesson well and 58% believe that the methodology used to deliver the subject can improve the ability to read Turas text. Next, we move to the problem statement. The level of effectiveness of Turas study towards students is becoming a question since the Turas study has been introduced to the curriculum in higher learning institution. Sheikh Salim 2018 in his study on 100 students to see the level of effectiveness of Turas study in Islamic Science University of Malaysia found that 69% of the respondents can understand the lesson well. To have a good understanding in Turas study, it will require the students to have the right skills and techniques as suggested by Mestra Wirman Alidin 2013 and Rabiah 2019. However, some students who are not well prepared with those techniques may face some difficulties and problems when they're learning the Turas study, especially in higher learning institution. Some of the previous studies are too general when talking about Turas study, such as H. Dahari 2017, Shahran Kasim 2018, and Harapandi Dahri 2020 that only mention about the importance of Turas study. Fauzi Naim Haji Badruddin 2012 also mentioned about the roles of Turas, especially towards the Muslim in the early time when Islam arrived in Tanah Melayu. Moreover, Salahuddin Ismail 2014 and Dr. Nur Hisham Matnawi 2016 focusing more to the development and evolution of Turos study that started in Malaysia from the Pondok system. There are also several research that are specific talking about the Turos study in higher learning institution, such as Sheikh Salim 2018 and Rabiah 2019, but this research only focusing on the level of effectiveness of Turos study among students and also a study to find the relationship between the ability to give line and the understanding of Turos text. And contradict with all the previous research mentioned, this research will try to be more specific on identifying the problems faced by the students of Turos study in higher learning institution and giving some suggestion to overcome it. Next, we move to the research objective. There are three objectives for this research. Firstly is to explore the nature of Turos study in higher learning institution. Second, to identify the problems faced by students in higher learning institution on Turos study. Third, to find out some suggestions to overcome problems of Turos study in higher learning institution. After that, we move to the research question. Firstly, what is the nature of Turos study in higher learning institution? Second, what is the problems faced by students in higher learning institution on Turos study? And lastly, what are the solutions to overcome problems of Turos study in higher learning institution? Next, we move to the significance of research. Firstly, this study will be a significant endeavor in giving the Turos study a great exposure as it is being forgotten by this millennial generation. It is important for the millennial generation to be aware of this Turos study because it contains a lot of knowledge and especially about the Quran and Sunnah. Secondly, this study will also be beneficial in increasing the level of effectiveness of Turos study in higher learning institutions. Besides that, this study will be helpful for the lecturers of Turos study in higher learning institution in terms of their methodology of teaching Turos, when they are aware of the problems that their students face when learning Turos, so they can change or they can improve their methodology when approaching the students in Turos study. And lastly, this research also will help students who are learning Turos study in higher learning institution to overcome their problems. So this shows that this research will be very significant towards the community. Lastly, for the methodology of research, for the research design, the researcher believe that a qualitative research design is the best and the most suitable research design to be used in this study. Next, for the data collection, for all the three objectives mentioned by the researcher earlier, the researcher will make an interview in order to collect the data. The researcher believes that by doing an interview, it will give the most accurate response or data for the study. And for the instrument used by the researcher will use a protocol of interview as his instrument. And lastly, for the data analysis, the researcher will do a descriptive analysis to analyze the data after collecting the data with the interview. So that's all from me. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.